Welcome everyone. I am Anelone. We are here in Heidelberg, Germany for the third workshop on virus dynamics. I'm here with two guests.
Hi, I'm Carmen Muralll. I am a postdoc in the CNRS in France, in Montpellier.
Hi, I am Esteban Hernandez, a group leader in Frankfurt Institute for Advanced Studies.
What did you enjoy about the conference?
I enjoyed seeing the mixture of data and modeling throughout the conference. It was really nice to sort of see people working so closely with experimentalists and clinicians. Yeah.
Well, actually, what I like the most is a very tailored workshop to viral dynamics. Like it's something really complicated to find, and we have a chance to finally meet with those people. Like we read papers and we know basically on paper, and this is a fantastic moment. Like we can all join together.
That's really interesting. Can you talk to us about the interaction that you had during the conference?
Well, I mean, speaking with collaborators and competitors sometimes makes a very rich environment. I mean, talking with Alan when I visit Los Alamos like 4 years ago and try to keep this conversation, collaboration, as I said, is something really unique. And I couldn't find this environment in other conferences so far.
Yeah, I would agree. I think the thing I've enjoyed the most is talking with other modelers who are going through similar issues as us. Sort of, the challenges of working with clinical data or designing those studies, or just some of the nitty gritty of the modeling itself. It's kind of nice that you can have these different kinds of conversations with people that I've been lucky. I've been to this workshop before, so I think it's nice to sort of have the continuation every couple of years to sort of be like, so how's it going? Yeah.
That's really cool. So, what will be your take home message from this conference? Anything that you were happy to learn or happy to see?
At the moment, it's important to know the tendencies. I mean, you can see mainly the whole workshop was a big amount of work in HIV. I mean, as we know, HIV was a founder of viral dynamics. It was too little done this time in comparison to the first workshop of viral dynamics, in comparison to influenza. Influenza has been shrinking a bit, but we can see a big variety tendencies like dengue. It was amazing to see many words now, and hepatitis. So I would say it's good for me to see what other people are working at the moment and how we can join synergies in some points.
I would definitely agree. As someone who works on a virus that's not HIV or influenza, it was really nice to see more variety of viruses. And I also enjoyed seeing some examples of groups that are trying different techniques in modeling, or they're challenged for thinking of a talk where they had to do they were looking at videos of cells moving through a collagen, and so they needed to do a variety of models, like everything from individual-based models to tracking, and then those the sort of usual ODE models are sort of really nice to see sort of teams working on certain data sets. I think that was exciting.
Could you please tell us about the technique that you use in your own research, or the approach that you have in mind for your own research?
It's mainly, as I would say in the whole workshop, is a definitely conclusive ordinary differential equation till now. I think it's a very powerful tool, somehow easy to abstract many concepts at a cost of computational cost, having a simple model to work on. So yeah, basically ordinary differential equations.
Yeah, the same.
All right. What do you enjoy about research, and what got you into this field of virus dynamics?
I think my trajectory into viral dynamics is maybe a little different. I started as a evolutionary ecologist. That's my original training. But I always did a lot of math while I was doing my biology degree. And it was a bit of an accident that while I started my PhD, the vaccine for HPV, human papillomavirus, had been recently released. There was a lot of controversy around it, and it was just sort of an exciting time to pick up that topic. And the thing that everyone was interested in at the time, which was an ecological question, which was, how can, will the vaccine cause strain replacement? So, the vaccine only targets some strains, and by only targeting those, will others become more prevalent? And when I started investigating that question, I realized that really the answer had to come from a within-host approach. Like all the approaches up to then had been epidemiological. And really the question is, how do they interact inside the host? And without knowing that, we can't answer that, the big epidemiological question. And so that's how I got into within-host modeling of HPV, and I sort of went into like the wild, wild west because there was nobody doing it at the time. And so I had to sort of come up with my own models and think about how to approach it, since it was such a different virus from HIV. And so it was pretty exciting, but it was also sort of being alone, sort of looking around to see who else is doing this kind of work. So that's why I really like this kind of meeting.
Well, I started 10 years ago in my PhD. It was about modeling HIV. My advisor, not complain, he might listen to this, but he was a control theory guy. Like, I was very happy to work. So we were basically doing HIV, but more from a control theory perspective. Like, wouldn't match to this conference at all, but it was how I started to work in viral dynamics after I moved to Germany for a postdoc in an institute mainly about influenza research, the Helmholtz Center, and I stayed there 3 years working on influenza. Then I got a chance to got my first group leader position, so I was having a bit more independence. However, you are still in an influenza research center, so most of your research needs to go in this direction. However, I was still having the freedom to work in other topics, and I was starting to work in Ebola. We were the first ones to publish papers in Ebola modeling. And now that I moved to Frankfurt, like it's a fully independent position, I have more freedom. However, I might become too conservative. So I am happy working with the infections I have been doing, and basically it's how I work now since last almost 20 years.
So, looking at your experience, what can you say to encourage people to pursue a career in this field or to encourage them to be successful?
Keep committed, don't get disappointed, wake up early, don't get stressed and disappointed of science. Like, you will get a lot of that, and you should be always to take a break and going back clear. So basically, purpose of clarity, what you want. Of course, will be thousands of challenge. As soon as you have a clarity of mind how to follow, I think Carmen Mayer is very challenging to keep in science these days. Maybe it was before like that, but we were not there. It is quite challenging, but keeping positive, pushing is the best tool.
How about you, Carmen? What has been your experience?
I've been quite lucky, but there's definitely bumps in the road. It's becoming more challenging to publish, especially quickly. That's not an easy thing to do. There's a balance between making a work that is as good as you want it to be and getting it out quickly, because you have to apply for grants and as a young researcher, unfortunately, it's important. What matters is how many papers you have.
Publish your papers.
Yes, exactly. And so that's it's a challenge, and I think it's important to stay balanced while still pursuing this. And I don't have all the answers because I'm still postdoc, but to me it's still exciting and it's still worth it. So I'm still pushing through.
Thank you very much. This is the end of the podcast, and all the best for your research and career.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you.